on the spiritual roots of the lion's mountain. However, it didn't take long before the mouse suffered damage. While trying to break the restriction imposed by the white tiger, the soldiers were carrying. Seeing this, Golden Lion King told the mouse not to exert himself anymore, as he, as a king, cherished his people, unlike the white tiger, who only forced the weak to fight alongside him. The fight between them continued, with both Golden Lion King and the white tiger using their demonic roars. As they battled those soldiers, the mouse rose and began to use his power again to halt the attack on the spiritual roots. It didn't take long before the white tiger was defeated. Due to the difference in power, the system awarded Golden Lion King 2 body fragments for completing the mission of expanding the territory of the lion's mountain. After several minutes, the mouse managed to bring all the rats out of the ground. Seeing this, the lion were at the sight of the coffin and the flower. King understood that the mouse had good intentions, and both headed towards the lion's mountain. At that moment, the white tiger rose and told them to stop. Seeing that the white tiger still had strength, Golden Lion King wasn't sure if he could continue fighting, as he had little energy left. To his surprise, the white tiger admitted defeat and, as a reward, handed over the white tiger mountain. The soldiers, seeing that Su Ling did not appear, she also revealed that she was a tigress and wanted to be the wife of Golden Lion King from now on. Both Golden Lion King and the mouse were in shock. White Tigress asked her new husband for his name. Golden Lion King refused to form a romance between a tigress and a lion. At that moment, a system window appeared, stating that the tigress wanted to give him the entire White Tiger Mountain. Meanwhile, Su Ling and Shuang begin to destroy the corpses of her parents, arrived at the ancient ruins of the Red Umbrella Cave, along with the members of the Kai Xiang Group's detection team. After entering the ruins, Shuang began to inspect the area with her pistol, in case the red umbrella appeared. At that moment, a level B awakened, named Ju Tao, told her to holster the gun, as it might accidentally fire, assuring her that he would protect them from danger. The soldiers are amazed by his beauty and the gold. Su Ling gets angry and prepares to attack them. He approached them, and Su Ling didn't like his attitude. If he touched her, she was ready to give him a beating. Just before Ju Tao's hand could touch Su Ling's shoulder, the captain of the exploration team, and a level awakened named Wang Chong, hit him on the head. He scolded Ju Tao to leave the girls alone and be more alert, mentioning that the previous expedition group exploring these ancient ruins had been annihilated. But the king's clone stops her. He didn't know what the company was looking for. In this dangerous place, after several minutes, they reached a dead end, because a large stone ball blocked the path. The researchers began to investigate the ball, and at that moment, the ball started moving toward them at great speed. But just before the ball could impact, Wang Chong Zu Tao appeared, and using his demonic power, stopped the ball effortlessly, and tells her that there was someone else. He then transformed into a wild boar, and hurled the ball to the ground, with all his strength approaching the ball. He realized it was a cockroach, from the entrance that the cockroach had blocked. Bats began to emerge and attack Ju Tao quickly. Shuang pulled out the pistol and eliminated them, using bullets infused with spiritual energy. Ju Tao, seeing that she had saved him, fell deeply in love with her, when suddenly Lady Mei Yun appears. At that moment, Wang Chong drew his attention to inform him that the cockroach was blocking the entrance to an underground village full of women. Upon seeing so many women, Ju Tao began to fall in love. Wang Chong tried to warn him that it was a trap. Despite the warning, Zu Tao ignored him, thinking that this was his reward, and it was impossible for a strong man like him, the soldiers, to lose to simple women in the blink of an eye. The women reached them, and Wang Chong immediately realized something was wrong, because the first building of the village was still quite far away. The women began to seduce members of the detection group, gradually stealing their spiritual energy. Ju Tao realized this too late and tried to ask for help. Within seconds, the women tell her that they were still looking for Su Ling, had already absorbed the men's spiritual energy. One of the men tried to attack, but the women also absorbed his power. Wang Chong also prepared to fight, as he couldn't let all his men be defeated. Before his eyes, using his spiritual energy, he began turning his entire body into iron. One of the women lunged at him to prevent him from using his ability, but to her surprise, in the flower, Mei Yun did not care about the flower. Wang Chong reacted in time and pushed her away, as he wouldn't fall for those wicked and twisted methods. The specialty of these women was turning men weak. At that moment, a much more powerful woman with purple hair appeared, and she managed to seduce Wang Chong. He tried to resist, but it was too late, and his spiritual energy was also stolen. Seeing this, Su Ling, she only cared about the sarcophagus, thought she had to inform Golden Lion King as soon as possible. So to escape the ruin, she began to return to her spirit form. But at that moment, the woman with purple hair grabbed her arm, even in spirit form immediately. Su Ling realized that this woman was also a spirit. She told Su Ling to not leave, because now she was going to show her their village. 49 ghosts had died in vain. Meanwhile, on Golden Lion King's mountain, the tigress tried to seduce Golden Lion King into having relation with her, thinking that a child between the king and the queen would be the perfect ruler to dominate the world. Golden Lion King refused, and seeing that he didn't think the same way, She asked if he was only interested in the Tiger Mountain. Golden Lion King told her, after 81 years in the sarcophagus, he wasn't interested in these kinds of things. And upon hearing this, she thought he was a novice in love. She explained him how to tame a white tigress. But despite the explanation, he wasn't willing as he didn't want to be the first person to tame a white tiger in history. At that moment, Zhao Qiu appeared from the candle and told Golden Lion King, so they decided to attack to take the gold, and had slowly precipitated that Su Ling's internal fire was slowly extinguishing and was now about to go out. Upon knowing this, Golden Lion King used the sacred fire tracker to see Su Ling's whereabouts. White Tigress was confused as she didn't know who Su Ling and Zhao Qi were. The fire indicated that Su Ling was in the ancient ruins, into the soul floor of 3 lives. So Golden Lion King decided to go in person to see what was happening. He used a body fragment, and his body merged with the human body, and the tigress, seeing that he could use the human transformation method, understood why he was not attracted to felines. Golden Lion King told the tigress to stay in the cave while they went to investigate the ancient ruin. Seeing the situation, the tigress realized, in the cave, Golden Lion King gets another point. She couldn't let him obsess over others, and thought the only option now was to ask for help. Inside the ruins, the woman with purple hair took Su Ling and Shuang and flew them to the mansion. After several seconds, they arrived in a place filled with women, and several of them began to mock Su Ling. And on the second floor of the mansion was Kai Luo, with the red umbrella, because his clone. Both recognized each other instantly, and without hesitation prepared to fight. Su Ling drew her sword and attacked Kai Luo, but she managed to block the attack, and asked how she had come to the mansion. She ignored the question as she was willing to make her pay for the disaster she had caused in the Lion Mountain. Kai Luo defended herself, saying that she had only defended against invaders, had discovered the soul floor of 3 lives, who had entered her cave before. After this, both began to fight, and the combat was so fierce that Shuang couldn't keep up. All the women in the mansion tried to stop the fight, because they didn't want to alert their leader, but their efforts were in vain, because the leader noticed and ordered them to stop. At that moment, the leader by Liu Fan came out, and all the women began to greet her. It was the first time. In a respectful manner, Su Ling immediately realized that she had a very powerful Kai that she had been cultivating for thousands of years, and thought she should avoid fighting her. Su Ling also greeted her and apologized for entering the sacred ruin without permission, and also asked for permission to leave the ancient ruin. Seeing this, Shuang also apologized to her and told her they were just tourists. The demonic knowledge property had been activated, who had gotten lost. Bai Liu Fan smiled and told them they spoke very well, despite being young girls, and also said they could leave, but in return, she wanted to accompany them. Bai Liu's soul was sealed in this place, and the inheritance that Su Ling mastered could help her break the seal. Kai Liu told her that Su Ling was useless, and upon hearing this, both of them started arguing, and he could now clearly see his veins. Bai Liu ordered them to follow her, and along the way, she told them that she was originally the daughter of a wealthy family. However, due to the involvement of various family members in a conspiracy, she was framed and sold. On her first night of work, the maids applied makeup and styled her hair. The entire kingy was adorned with lights, and people were smiling. He turns and sees that he could also see the vein, but she only thought of maintaining purity in the world, as she had prepared to take her own life. However, she never imagined that she would fall deeply in love with a client. Her first client was a young man from a noble and wealthy family, forced by his peers to come to her. However, he did not touch her that night. They only recited ancient poetry together and talked. Unknowingly, Bai Liao fell in love with him, with the other creatures. The young man also fell in love, and was willing to set her free, to marry her, but because he did not have enough money, due to education expenses, he borrowed money from his peers, and begged the owner not to sell Bai Liao. After several days, the young man gave her a kankan umbrella made of silk, and left, but the owner did not keep her promise, and she thought that Golden Lion King leaps, although the system only made him stronger. If Bai Liao had already lost her virginity, it made no sense to stop receiving client. Several months passed, and seeing that her beloved did not come, she took her own life. Her blood fell on the umbrella and was absorbed, as the umbrella was an object passed down through generations with supernatural powers. By absorbing her blood, the umbrella was influenced by her resentment, no matter what he did, and became an evil spirit. And that umbrella became Kylie Wu. And after her death, her beloved returned as the general of the Southwest Army. Upon knowing that his beloved had sacrificed herself for love, he became furious and completely exterminated the Kingi mansion. Then, under the guidance of a protective monk, he merged the Kingi mansion to form a huge. This was the first time he had awakened. Natural coffin. The monk used a wordless book to bring back the body of Bai Luo. This coffin prevented the body from decomposing and trapped the soul of the person. Later, her beloved desperately sought a way to resurrect her, but unfortunately could not find any and died later. When Bai Luo's spiritual energy recovered, she had a chance to gain spiritual energy and could leave her physical body, such a special ability, becoming an evil spirit. All the other women in the mansion were trapped souls, and she used them to absorb the energy of intruders to feed herself. Su Ling felt fear, seeing that she had revealed something so astonishing. With such indifference, a spirit sealed in a place where, due to the resentment generated by unfulfilled desires, before death, Bai Liao wanted Su Ling to help her leave this place, to fulfill the wish she had before dying. He could even see spiritual energy. Su Ling asked if she wanted to see her beloved again. Bai Liao told her no, as thousands of years had passed, and she was no longer interested in men. She wanted Su Ling to help her break the seal of the wordless book, so that she could be free. In exchange for her freedom, Bai Luo promised to give her the wordless book, to deliver to the Lion King, as she intended to become his wife. Surging from the veins of the earth, Xu Ling was surprised to see that she knew Golden Lion King Kai Liu had turned into a demon due to Bai Liu's resentment, and since she was tainted with her blood, Bai Liu knew everything she had experienced. From another point of view, she was Kai Liu, so she knew what had happened on Lion Mountain. Upon hearing this, all the energy came from a specific point. Su Ling asked her why she was seeking help, despite causing much harm to Lion Mountain. Bai Liu told her that she was only defending herself against invaders who had forcibly taken her cave, and she reminded Su Ling that Lion Mountain didn't belong solely to Golden Lion King, but also to them, as they had been there for thousands of years. Su Ling approached the coffin, back in the ruins of the sarcophagus, and saw Bai Luo's physical body. She had to take the wordless book to set her free. She reached out her hand and the book disappeared. But when she withdrew her hand, the book reappeared. Kai Luo told her that she had to use her legacy, because the book was for sealing the evil spirit, to protect the physical body. Su Ling's legacy allowed her to transform the evil spirit into a ghostly body. Mei Yun comes out of the hole and kills the soldiers. At that moment, blue flames appeared and the ground began to tremble. Kai Luo remembered that, if someone tried to break the seal, the ancient coffin would activate its defenses. Su Ling and Shuang panicked and asked Kai Lu what these defenses were. She replied that she didn't know. No one had been nearby Liu's physical body for thousands of years, so that no one would know about the 3 soul lands, and no one had been able to touch the seal, as all intruders had been devoured by the women of the King Yi mansion. At that moment, the book began to control the mansion's women. To attack the intruders, Shuang shot at one of them, but her bullets had no effect. Just before the woman could attack, Kyle Lu used her umbrella and finished her off. She asked Bai Lu to control her maids, where some beasts and a girl were running away, dodging the bullets, and quickly eliminates a soldier. She cuts herself. She said that now, the book had suppressed the maid's core, so she couldn't control them, and the only way to break these defenses was to break the seal. Upon hearing this, Kailio became angry with Su Ling, because, if she hadn't damaged the interior of the universe, in her umbrella she could have used the universe inside the umbrella to trap all the maids, and drops her blood on the stone in the sarcophagus. Liu told Su Ling to try to take the book, while they dealt with the maids. She approached the coffin and the book reappeared. At that moment, Su Ling remembered that she had to transform illusions into real objects, and immediately found the core of the book. She told Bai Leo that the true core of the book was inside the belly of her physical body. Upon hearing this, Bai Leo told her to take it out. She was the one who came up with the Kai Leo told her not to do it because it was very risky. If her physical body were to be damaged, she would lose her reproductive capability. Bai Lu couldn't change her past. She had voluntarily taken her own life, and had never asked to be reborn. Now, all she wanted was to rid herself of this suffering as soon as possible, so she told Su Ling to do everything possible. Idea of using the villagers to get the book using her power. She first materialized the illusion, and then brought it into reality. Once the book materialized, she removed it from Bai Luo's physical body. By doing this, the coffin and the physical body disappeared. Now that she had retrieved the book, Bai Luo told them that they could leave the ancient ruin to scout the road. However, it was not going to be easy, because by destroying the core of the book, the maids had become much more ferocious. Quickly, Su Ling returned to the ghostly state, took Shuang, and they all headed towards the exit of the ruins. After several minutes, they reached the exit, and Su Ling handed Shuang over to them. She told them to go to the Lion Mountain, while she stayed to fight against the evil spirits, so that the soldiers would not have been killed. She couldn't let them leave the ruins to harm the innocent, but they refused. All this disaster had been caused by them. In contrast, Xuan wanted to leave because she was an ordinary person. Just before they started to fight, Golden Lion King appeared and used his lion's roar to eliminate all the evil spirits. Su Ling was happy as he had arrived at the right moment. Bai Lu realized that he had. Hearing this, Su Ling angrily prepares to attack her, become 10 times stronger than when he had fought against Kai Liu. A blow from Golden Lion King could be fatal for her, who had been cultivating for 1,000 years. Cai Liu was angry with him, as he had used an attack that could have eliminated them. As well, Golden Lion King grabbed her by the mouth and told her that she should appreciate the fact that he had saved her. But Mei Yun senses the attack. Bai Luo presented herself to him as a humble servant. Confused, Golden Lion King asked Su Ling who she was. She explained to Golden Lion King that Bai Luo was the owner of the Red Umbrella. Each ancient coffin had its own owner, and that owner had a secret power. Both the spiritual coffin of the terrifying forest and the wordless book from the legacy of the Red Umbrella were inheritances from ancient powers, and get Su Ling to stop attacking Golden Lion King's lair. was the origin of the spiritual veins, and was also one of the ancient coffins. Bai Luo asked the king what inheritance he had received. He pondered, initially thinking that the system was an inheritance, but then he remembered that Zhao Kao must have received the inheritance, as she was the previous owner of the Lion Guard. But looking at Zhao Kao, the king's clone and Xiao Qiu were surprised. He realized that she had not received any inheritance. Seeing that he couldn't answer, Bai Liao stopped talking about that topic, and told him that with the appearance of spiritual Kai, some ancient powers and the legacies began to awaken, and the world entered chaos. As these ancient powers clashed, Su Ling told him that, during her investigation in the Kai Yang Shang group, she discovered that behind every human group, the soldier with the missile launcher attacks him, as she was able to see ghosts, was controlled by ancient forces. The group selected outstanding, awakened individuals to give them an inheritance, called Wujie Dao. Those who received this inheritance were honored with titles like Martial Master, and were classified by levels. She wanted to hide her identity within the group, to have contact with the Wujie Dao inheritance, but she was unable to. Golden Lion King told her that, despite not having contact with the inheritance, Su Ling had unconsciously dodged the attack. She had done a good job, because the Kaishan group had lost many of its men. In the ancient ruins, they were not going to stop easily, and they were also going to involve the Lion Mountain. The Lion Mountain and the ancient ruins were connected by the spirit of the earth, and at this point, Bai Liu's fate and the Lion King's were intertwined. Kai Liu told Golden Lion King, but she plucked up courage, that he didn't need to fear simple humans, as she could easily handle them. Golden Lion King said it was very complicated, because even if she could resist gunfire, she couldn't withstand tanks, planes or nuclear bombs. Kai Luo, upon hearing this, didn't understand anything. Bai Luo told Golden Lion King that she had a way to conceal the spirit of the earth, thanks to her knowledge of magical barriers. Because she was now a ghost, she could set up a barrier around the spirit of the earth to hide its flowing energy. Seeing that Golden Lion King didn't trust her, Bai Liu took the wordless book and the red umbrella and handed them to the king, in exchange for becoming his servant. At that moment, system windows began to appear, giving him several points, without hesitation, and wasn't afraid of being caught. Golden Lion King did not reject this offer. Xu Wang realized that Bai Luan was very cunning, since the red umbrella had been a gift from her ex-boyfriend and Su Ling had obtained the celestial wordless book to free her from the ancient ruins. Reading the celestial book, Golden Lion King realized that it really had no words. As he turned all the pages of the book, the system awarded him 2 points of understanding, and thanks to this, Mei Yun, seeing that no one was there, he began to see fragments of words written in the book. Afterward, they headed towards the Lion Mountain, and at that moment, White Tigress saw them all together. Upon returning to the cave, Golden Lion King did not find the tigress anywhere, so he thought she had left, but he began to smell a strange odor. Approaching it, he saw that it was urine, and there were claw marks all over the cave. Takes out a pair of glasses and puts them on. He was furious with White Tigress. Bai Liu and the others entered the cave, but he ushered them out, because he didn't want them to see the mess the tigress had caused them. He gathered all his subordinates and told them that, from now on, Bai Liu and Kai Liu would be his subordinates. The Great Bear disagreed with this, as they were not good people, and now she is able to see Su Ling, and it caused a lot of harm to the Lion's Mountain. In the past, Golden Lion King told him that the Lion's Mountain had many enemies, and Bai Luluo knew a method to hide the entire mountain, using a secret earth formation. She was the only person who knew this method, and to conceal the mountain, they had to find the ancient coffin and the ancient archaeological remains. Su Ling angrily, in those ancient archaeological remains, the master of earth formation had been sealed for 1,000 years, and those archaeological remains were about 100 kilometers. At the foot of the mountain, everyone headed towards the location, and after several hours, they arrived at the Bai Lai River. Seeing that this river was very long, Golden Lion King thought, tells her that she wanted to avenge her parents' death. He should have brought the talkative parrot to fly and check the length of the river. Bai Liao didn't remember this river being here before. Kai Liao told her that due to the changes 1,000 years ago and the resurgence of spiritual energy, the land underwent changes. Su Ling thought about flying over the river in ghost form, but then realized it was daytime and she couldn't, so she told Golden Lion King. But Golden Lion King plugs his cannon, but Mei Yun doesn't remember her, that she was going to swim a bit to test the water's depth, and she assured him not to worry, because she was a good swimmer. Without hesitation, she jumped into the water and started moving along the river. The Great Bear told the king that he was also a good swimmer and wanted to go with her, but the king refused and doesn't remember killing her parents either, as he didn't want the girls to see him in swimwear. After several minutes, giant crocodile surrounded Su Ling. Seeing the danger, she jumped out of the water, but unfortunately, the giant crocodile leaped out and ate Su Ling. Without a second thought, Golden Lion King jumped into the water to rescue her. However, slowly, his body began to sink. She tells her that she doesn't, because his armor was made of gold, and after several seconds, he reached the giant crocodiles. Little by little, Golden Lion King began descending through the water, and the giant crocodiles began surrounding him. At that moment, one of the giant crocodiles opened its mouth and tried to swallow Golden Lion King, but he noticed the attack and using only his fist. Remember stepping on ants. prevented the giant crocodile from closing its jaws. Then he grabbed the tail of the giant crocodile and started spinning his body at great speed to use it as a whip to strike the other crocodiles. The crocodiles became furious and started advancing towards Golden Lion King at full speed, but instead of attacking him, they started ascending to the surface. Golden Lion King immediately, and killing them, realized that the crocodile's target was his allies, who were on the shore. He wanted to ascend to help them, but couldn't because his golden armor was too heavy. At that moment, he looked at the crocodile he was grabbing by the tail, and realized that it looked very familiar to him. Meanwhile, as Bai Luo and the others waited on the shore, the water of the river began turning chaotic, causing a large wave to advance towards the shore. Bai Luo and Kai Luo reacted in time. Su Ling angrily prepares to attack her again, and managed to avoid being swallowed by the wave. But Big Bear and Xiao Wang were not so lucky, and were swallowed by the wave. Bai Luo and Kai Luo climbed onto a tree branch, and Bai Liu started wondering if the wave had been caused by the beautiful dragons. At that moment, the giant crocodiles appeared at the same time. At the bottom of the river, Golden Lion King mounted the giant crocodile. The king's clone was surprised, and started hitting its head to make it swim harder. As they were still descending, one of the giant crocodiles opened its mouth and tried to attack Big Bear, but Big Bear reacted in time and managed to grab the crocodile's jaws. Big Bear realized that the giant crocodiles had a great biting force as Bai Liu and Kai Liu watched Big Bear fight against the giant crocodile, as she was not surprised or scared. Kai Liu told Big Bear to let go of the crocodile's mouth, as it had a biting force of several tens of tons. One of the crocodiles broke the tree trunk, causing Kai Liu and Bai Liu to fall to the ground. Bai Liu told the others that the only way to defeat the giant crocodiles was to close their mouths, so that it would be difficult for them to reopen. After seeing Su Ling, Big Bear smiled and in a matter of seconds closed the crocodile's mouth, and then asked Xiao Wang to use her body as a rope. Xiao Wang became furious and refused to be used as a rope. Meanwhile, Golden Lion King reached some bones at the bottom of the river. Immediately, he realized that these bones were from fierce, high-level beasts, and thinks that this was not the first time. He quickly concluded that the giant crocodiles were not ordinary animals. Golden Lion King looked towards the shore and thought that all his allies were in danger. At the same time on the shore, another giant crocodile caught Big Bear off guard and landed a blow using its powerful tail. Due to the strength of the blow, Big Bear was sent flying and crashed into a tree. Seeing this, Xiao Wang tried to help him, causing the explosion to occur inside the cannon. She was dealing with a ghost, but at that moment, another giant crocodile approached her to attack her by surprise. But luckily, Xiao Qing noticed the presence of the giant crocodile and quickly closed its mouth, using her snake-like body. At that moment, another giant crocodile appeared and bit Xiao Qing's tail strongly. Seeing that the two were in danger, she had a special way of fighting ghosts. Bai Lulu thought about going to help them, but Kai Liu reminded her that it was still daytime, so she advised her not to do it, as her body would disintegrate due to the sunlight. Just before Bai Liu could make a decision, Golden Lion King emerged from the bottom of the river, thanks to the bony ladder he had created, using the technique called wordless transmission. Previously, when Golden Lion King was at the bottom of the river, the clone senses that something bad is going to happen. With the bones, he realized that these bones extended as far as the eye could see, which meant that the giant crocodiles were the owners of the river. These bones were like a blessing for Golden Lion King, since he had wanted to try a new technique for a long time. Golden Lion King clasped his hands together and, using wordless communication, commanded the bones to rise. He uses his power and lures Su Ling. In a matter of seconds, his technique took effect, and the bones began to rise. Upon seeing this, Golden Lion King was pleased to know that the transmission from the celestial book of wordless communication was real at that moment. The bones formed an animal, which prostrated itself before Golden Lion King. Golden Lion King gently stroked its head, and began to think that, causing her to dodge the attack at the last second. Although he had mastered the amazing method, he could not leave the bottom of the river. The bone-made animal prostrated itself on the ground, and at that moment, more bone-made animals appeared and began to disassemble themselves to form a ladder for Golden Lion King to climb out of the river. Golden Lion King began to climb the ladder, and along the way, the bones of the animals fused with his body. Su Ling does not know how she was able to hurt her to create a new armor after several minutes. Golden Lion King reached the shore, and upon seeing the bone ladder and the bone armor, everyone was astonished to see that Golden Lion King had mastered the technique of wordless communication. Leo was amazed to see that Golden Lion King had truly been able to learn the technique from the celestial book of wordless communication. Seeing Golden Lion King, if she was a ghost, Mei Yun had a crimson knife. The remaining crocodiles knew they were in danger. Golden Lion King gently struck the ground, causing the bones to return to the form of animals. The bone-made animals began to attack the crocodiles, but the crocodiles tore them apart with their huge and powerful tails. Upon seeing this, Bai Lulu realized that the amazing method did not work against the crocodiles, which was a special weapon used against ghosts, because their skin was extremely resistant. One of the crocodiles attempted to bite Golden Lion King, but he evaded it effortlessly and delivered a strong blow to its mouth, causing it to lose its teeth. Another crocodile tried to attack Golden Lion King from behind, but Su Ling cut it in half with the dental blade. Another crocodile attempted to escape, but Golden Lion King caught it by the tail. Su Ling had to avoid the long knife and planned to give it a good beating to make them serve as a boat. The remaining crocodiles had no choice but to serve as transportation for the Lion King and his subordinates. Everyone climbed onto the giant crocodiles and began to cross the river. Along the way, the Great Bear praised Golden Lion King, saying that he was great and could easily overcome any difficulty and attack it with a surprise attack. On the other side, Yahello felt resentment towards Golden Lion King because he had learned the amazing method in just a few days, while it had taken her several years. As they crossed the river, a thick fog descended, causing them to lose their way to the Boo Mountain. Everyone panicked, but Liu reassured them and told them that they had already arrived. She explained that Boo Mountain, he had eliminated all the soldiers from a blind spot. The Clone King does not intervene, was a burial place for the ancestor of Earth formations, so it would not be easily visible. Currently, they were in the first formation of the Boo Mountain matrix, and in front of them appeared an island called the Illusory Mist Matrix. Due to the fog being too dense, Golden Lion King decided to go to the shore. When they were near the shore, as he wanted, the Great Bear decided to go first to explore the area. Once the Great Bear stepped onto the shore, it disappeared, causing him to fall into the river. The Great Bear was somewhat confused and started to wonder how the island had turned into river water. Liu realized it was an illusion, which meant that finding the ruins of Baoshan Mountain was not going to be so easy. At that moment, the Great Bear's skin peeled off his leg. Su Ling to take revenge with her own hand, exposing his bone to view. Then, Golden Lion King's arm skin also peeled off, exposing his bone. Golden Lion King panicked and thought that this fog was not normal, as it was eroding their skin. Su Ling noticed this sensation, so she reassured Golden Lion King not to worry, because it was just an illusion. Su Ling touched Golden Lion King's arm, causing it to return to normal. Mei Yun attacks again. She explained that this fog was the same that protected the floral spirit's coffin, though this fog was merely an illusion, but if a person died in it, their nervous system would also die. Su Ling told everyone to remain calm, as they simply needed to disrupt the internal energy flow to break the illusion. Everyone began to meditate, causing the fog to disappear, but Su Ling dodges her attack and using her blind spot. At that moment, they all fell into the water and started to sink. After several minutes, Golden Lion King opened his eyes in a peaceful place, filled with cherry blossom. He was not alone, as Bai Liao also appeared beside him. Upon seeing Bai Liuo's appearance, Golden Lion King couldn't help but be amazed. Bai Liuo asked Golden Lion King if there was any problem, and Golden Lion King began to pretend. She manages to finish Mei Yun off, and asked where the others were. Bai Liuo wasn't quite sure if this place was part of bashing or just an illusion, so she replied that she didn't know. Golden Lion King suggested they go look for the ancient ruins, as he thought the others might be there. Bai Liuo said it wouldn't be possible, because she was a ghost and if sunlight touched her, her body would dissipate. Golden Lion King reassured her. Golden Lion King clone, as he had a quite simple solution to her problem. He used the technique called demonic pill to create a golden extension. A golden light emerged from the sky, causing a golden umbrella to appear in Golden Lion King's hands. He handed the umbrella to Bai Liao, and when she held it she realized it was very heavy. At the same time, in a desert place, Su Ling was searching for Golden Lion King, comes to the conclusion, and his subordinates. She had separated from Golden Lion King, and had been searching for several minutes, but she couldn't find any trace of anyone in this place. Kai Liu was also in this place searching for Bai Liu. She thought this was not good, as this place was quite uncomfortable. After several minutes, Su Ling and Kai Liu came face to face, and both thought that her bracelet was a magic weapon. They had found the last person they wanted to find. At the same time, Xiao Wang and the Great Bear appeared in a lake. Unlike the river, they could walk on water. The Great Bear told Xiao Wang that Bashan was a mountain, but in this place, there was no mountain in sight. Bai Liu and Golden Lion King began to walk to find the ancient ruins. Along the way, Bai Liu picked up a cherry blossom leaf that was able to sense the killer aura, and asked Golden Lion King to share the umbrella with her. Golden Lion King accepted, although he felt a little uncomfortable being with her, since they had only had a chance encounter, and he had already accepted her under his command. After walking for several minutes, Golden Lion King told Bai Lilo that this forest seemed to have no end. Bai Lilo approached a tree. He was too strong and could not control his strength, and the glasses allowed her to see ghosts, and told Golden Lion King that they had returned to the starting point, because she had left a mark on one of the trees, so that Kyle Lilo would know their location. Golden Lion King quickly realized that they were both trapped in this illusory maze. Golden Lion King asked Bai Leo if they had been going around in circles. At that moment, one of the trees started moving, and upon seeing this, the king's clone helped Su Ling. Golden Lion King took Bai Leo's hand, and they started running along the way. Golden Lion King explained that this was not simply a repetition of the same place, but that the trees moved slowly to distort their vision. Biological movement was based on circular movement, from left to right, or vice versa. Both birds and land animal had subtle differences in the force. By using his murderous aura to disturb her perception between their wings or legs, without visual correction, to orient themselves correctly, their journey would only be an accumulative circle. But due to these subtle differences, the approximate radius of the resulting circle was about 5 kilometers. However, they had not traveled such a long distance, and were already back to the starting point, which meant that the cherry blossom forest, when suddenly Mei Yun's body rises again, that was confusing their location, was also moving. Therefore, they had to quickly break through the cherry blossom forest blockade as soon as possible. At that moment, Bai Liao started sweating and told Golden Lion King that things were no longer simple. Golden Lion King returned to his human form and was shocked when looking at Bai Liao. She resurrects and attacks Su Ling again. Kai Luo, upon seeing Golden Lion King's human form, let go of his hand and began asking who he really was. Golden Lion King looked at his hand and realized that he had returned to his human form. He revealed his true name, Liu Fei. At the same time, Su Ling and Kai Luo began to argue. Kai Luo asked if she had seen any trace of anyone from the direction she had come from. Su Ling replied, no, and upon hearing this, her knife was a special weapon for attacking ghosts. Kai Luo decided to leave. Su Ling took her hand and tried to stop her, telling her that there was no one in that area. Kai Luo refused as she did not believe Su Ling's words. She reminded her that they were enemies not long ago, and after saying these words, she left. Su Ling decided to continue her path, and both started walking in opposite directions. Along the way, Kai Luo thought that Golden Lion King and the others were going to die in this place, and both the king and the little candle, and this power had no effect on her. She and Bai Liao could take full possession of the lion mountain. She began to fantasize about the things she and Bai Liao would do after taking control of the lion mountain. At that moment, Su Ling began to approach her. Upon seeing this, Kai Liao turned around, asked why she was following her, but at that instant, Su Ling appeared behind her, and she immediately were in the state of soul doppelganger. Realized that this valley was a circle. Su Ling pulled out a dagger, and before Kai Luo could react, she stabbed her in the stomach. After this, Su Ling started searching for the exit, and Kai Luo began following her. Kai Luo took advantage of Su Ling's lowered guard and attempted to attack her, but Su Ling turned around and using the dagger, made a deep cut on Kai Luo's face. Su Ling couldn't allow her to attack them. Confused, Kai Luo asked her how she had discovered it. Recently, when she had passed by Su Ling, she had noticed that their shadows had interchanged, as she couldn't resist stepping on the shadow of someone she hated at the same time. In the cherry blossom forest, Golden Lion King asked Bai Li what was happening. The arrangement of Master Tan's was really complicated, because not only space, but even time, could be freely controlled within his domain. Su Ling manages to block the blow and counter-attacks. Bai Liu Fan quickly realized that the return to the forest was not a space but rather time itself. Golden Lion King, a little confused by Biao's words, asked her to explain. She explained that this was the appearance she had had hundreds of years ago, and upon seeing Golden Lion King's appearance, she realized that he had been a human long ago. At that moment, the tree roots began to move. His name was Liu Fan and he was an orphan. Cutting Man's arm, however, causing the trees to come to life. One of the trees attacked Golden Lion King. He tried to defend himself, using the roar of the Golden Lion, but unfortunately, it didn't work, and he was hit directly, falling on top of Bai Liao. Both blushed, and quickly, Golden Lion King got up and realized that not only had his appearance returned, but his cultivation had as well. Suddenly, tentacles start to emerge from the severed arm. Golden Lion King noticed that Bai Liu had a wound on her arm, and now that she was also a normal human, advised her not to get involved. Bai Liu refused, because she was now a ghost of Golden Lion King, so her life and death belonged to his king. One of the trees gathered its branches to create a sharp branch, and tried to surprise attack Golden Lion King, and it reattaches itself to man's body. Golden Lion King turned around and grabbed the branch, just before it could go through him. With a simple movement, he broke the branch, and the system granted him 5 points of strength. Fortunately, the Lion King had a system that was permanently linked to him, and was not affected by time. At the same time, while Xiao Wang and Big Bear were walking, Big Bear got angry and hit the water. She was a person who was dead. Xiao Wang concluded that they had become victims of an illusion, because this river didn't seem to have an end. Upon hearing this, Big Bear panicked and touched Xiao Wang's scales to check if she was also an illusion. Xiao Wang got angry and started to choke Big Bear, as only the king could touch her scales. She had previously asked the parrot for information about illusion, but her doppelganger could survive, which were spells that could affect the enemy's perception, giving the sensation that even painful feeling were real in the illusions. The parrot's illusions acted upon the sight of living beings when affected by them, resulting in their perception being completely under the control of the parrot. But if the opponent disrupted the flow of spiritual energy, even if the original body had died within themselves, then it would have the opposite effect on the parrot, breaking its illusions. Xiao Wang and Big Bear began to disrupt the flow of energy within their bodies, but unfortunately, it didn't work. Xiao Wang looked at the ground and thought that they should continue descending, but Big Bear didn't think the same way. So, Zhao Wang explained to him that the reason this was the perfect opportunity to test they were standing on the water's surface was because there was something beneath the water. Both of them entered the water and started descending slowly. After several minutes, they reached the other end, where they ascended until reaching a forest. This forest was full of life, and there was a statue that was pouring water into the sea. Big Bear transformed into a human, the new mastery of Golden Lion King, and when he emerged from the water, he was impressed by the beauty of this forest. Xiao Wang also transformed into a human. Big Bear got out of the water because he was very cold, and upon seeing his naked butt, Xiao Wang gave him a strong kick in the balls. As Big Bear writhed in pain, he asked Xiao Wang why she was making a fuss if they had always been naked. Big Bear, Mayan's breath came from the soul ground of 3 lives, decided to cover his private parts with some leaves, and Zhao Wang used the dragon transformation, called Living Scales, and also covered her private parts. Upon seeing this, Big Bear also used the animal transformation, called Long Fur, causing hair to grow in his armpits and private areas. Seeing this, Xiao Wang couldn't help but feel disgusted, so she asked him to stop. She had previously dripped her blood on the soul ground. Both began to look at the statue of the woman that was pouring water and thought that the statue must be the solution to this problem. Xiao Wang activated the breath of the dragon to break the statue, but at that moment, a voice asked her not to do it. Then a short-haired girl came down from the statue. Upon smelling her scent, Xiao Wang realized that she was White Tigress. Zhao Wang attacked White Tigress, but he managed to graduate from college. Mayan attacked Su Ling again, as she thought all this was her doing. She blocked the attack and told her that she hadn't done anything since. She was only practicing the art of transformation when she had been about to interrupt the transformation by trying to damage the goddess statue. Big Bear was confused, so he asked Zhao Wang who she was. Zhao Wang explained, but now her attack range had increased, that this woman was White Tigress, who was responsible for the previous attack on the lion. Mountain Big Bear became even more confused, as he thought White Tigress was the woman Golden Lion King had kidnapped to make her his wife. Upon hearing this, Zhao Wang hit Big Bear in the face. White Tigress pointed at Zhao Wang and asked her to stop trying to steal her husband. As a disadvantage, her recovery speed was slower. Upon hearing this, Xiao Wang became angry and told her that the Lion King didn't like an old woman like her. White Tigress started crying, as she knew that Golden Lion King only liked human women. Then she started to laugh, as she was now blessed by the goddess Yun Sui and had become what Golden Lion King loved most. Xiao Wang looked at the statue of the goddess Yun Sui, and without thinking twice, seizing the opportunity, flew off to destroy the statue. Seeing this, White Tigress quickly grabbed her by the hair, and they both started fighting. As they fell to the ground, Big Bear tried to stop them, but they paid no attention to him. Xiao Wang activated her dragon's breath, and White Tigress activated the 5 righteous thunders. Su Ling approaches her and attacks several times. They attacked each other, causing a big explosion in the sky. Xiao Wang couldn't withstand the damage from the explosion and fell to the ground, while White Tigress remained standing, as if nothing had happened. At that moment, the statue of the goddess Yun Sui shattered, and after several seconds, Golden Lion King appeared alongside by Liu Fan, managing to cut Mayan's body in half. Everyone was happy to see Golden Lion King, but Xiao Wang began to wonder who Golden Lion King really was. From the split body, more tentacles emerge and trap Su Ling. The clone of the king does not want to intervene, as it is a doppelganger, and started to become a proud worker, and if it gets damaged in combat, it will be terrible for his body. The tentacles start attacking Su Ling slowly, but Golden Lion King decides to intervene. Using the fragment of the young body, he tells them to cover their ears and hold their breath. With a powerful roar, he attacks the doppelganger of Mei Yunom and manages to kill her by vanishing her body. He approaches and picks up Mei Yun's knife, but he had accidentally crossed from planet Earth to, and his level rises several times. Obtaining the knife expands his sword attributes. He touches his neck and feels that he has hair. The system was cheating, as there was a level to restore the human body. What he wanted the most was to change his ghostly appearance. Zhao Kao falls in love with the new body of Golden Lion King. He levels up his demonic consciousness. They were being chased by some soldiers, where the spirit was revived by inhaling the soul ground of 3 lives. Now he could see the aura floating in the air, and he becomes stronger every time he breathes. Su Ling thanks him for saving her, but this revenge was not over yet. They still had to discover what the coffin of the 3 live soul was hiding, so he decides to continue investigating to help Su Ling seek revenge. The sun starts to rise and Xiao Kao hides in his clothes and was reborn as a golden lion, and Su Ling does the same, but Golden Lion King tells her she can't do that anymore because she is too big, and being a ghost, she can possess a body. He suggests possessing Mei Yun's body instead. At first, she doesn't want to, as Mei Yun's body is too ugly for her. However, realizing it's a matter of life or death, she decides to possess Mei Yun's body. Golden Lion King tells her that from now on, who is considered a magical beast, if they encounter a mercenary, she must pretend to be Mei Yun. After walking for a while, they arrive at an open area, where a helicopter was waiting for them. When they reach the helicopter, the soldiers ask who the hooded guy is. Su Ling orders them not to ask any more questions about him. As they board the helicopter, and the system of this world made him stronger. The system awards another point to him. After flying for a while, the pilot tells Su Ling that they have arrived in Xiling City. At the entrance, there are the bodies of giant beasts, and among the corpses are people, searching for resources or the beast's core. Unlike the Lion Rock which was flourishing, the resurgence of Aura caused a great commotion in the human city. The city was in an apocalyptic state, and stronger for whatever he did. After a few minutes, they reach the city where Su Ling thanks the pilot for his work, and swiftly takes down the soldiers with a quick blow. It was a fairly powerful group, and the soldiers' camp was quite large, but Golden Lion King could reduce it to ashes with a single breath if he wanted to. However, for now, he just wants to play with them a bit. They enter the tower and defeat the guards. The boar, seeing the strength of King Lion, reaching the place where the clues they were looking for were hidden, Golden Lion King activates his divine consciousness and realizes they are not the only ones who broke in. A woman with a gun is hiding behind the door. The king senses the danger and decides to go first. As he opens the door, the girl shoots him with her pistol. The bullet hits Golden Lion King directly in the chest, runs away, and the system gives him another point. Su Ling, furious, prepares to attack the girl, but Golden Lion King stops her, telling her that he is fine. It was a bullet covered in aura, and the girl is surprised to see that it didn't harm him. She wonders if he is unawakened. The girl shoots several more times. All the bullets hit Golden Lion King without damaging him. The king wonders. He quickly breaks her pistol with a finger. He then captures her and warns her not to force him to take action, since he doesn't trust his power control. The girl responds that he can kill her if he wants. The king realizes that she is not a member of the Kang Shang group, so he asks her what she is doing here. She reveals that the Kang Shang group illegally stole her company's development project. Where was the girl the soldiers were chasing? And she came here to find evidence. The king notices she is hiding a paper in her shirt, and upon taking it out, he sees that it is a map. The first target of the group is the Lion Rock. Suddenly, the leaders of the headquarters arrived. They had come to receive the delivery at night, and were using candles for illumination. The sarcophagus was sensitive to intense light, and candles were the limit. The clone of the king. The girl had fallen into the beast tide, and the girls decide to continue observing, to find out where they would move the sarcophagus. Louis, a Class B, awakened, tells May Fox that he was going to ask someone to take away the sarcophagus, but May Fox tasks Wu Gang, a strong man, to carry the sarcophagus. The clone of the king is surprised to see Wu Gang lifting the sarcophagus. May Fox realizes that someone is watching them. She attacks the clone of the king, seeing that they were walking away because of the explosion, but just before her attack lands, he manages to stop it. She was awakened too, as she could sense his presence. Louis heads towards the clone of the king to attack him, starting with a kick, but Golden Lion King quickly dodges. After seeing that he had evaded the strike, Louis launches a flurry of blows. By dodging the attacks, the clone of the Lion King was increasing his resistance. Golden Lion King approaches the girl. Liu Yi was curious to know who was hiding beneath the cloak. With a quick move, he removes the cloak from the clone of the king. Upon seeing the true face of the king, he understands why he had such good resistance and quick reflexes. The fox is captivated by his appearance. Lue activates his ability Divine Speed, and with an instant strike manages to hit the king, and sees that she had an unusual feeling. However, upon striking, his leg bones break due to the king's hard body. By defeating an awakened, he levels up several times. May Fox is astonished as he had defeated Liu Yi, a Class B, awakened so effortlessly. Upon seeing Liu Yi being defeated, Wu Gang prepares to attack Golden Lion King. Using his incredible strength, he throws the sarcophagus towards Golden Lion King, but in an instant, as she was dead, but her body was still filled with aura. Golden Lion King catches the sarcophagus and keeps it safe. He becomes angry with Wu Gang for throwing such a precious treasure. Wu Gang activates his ability Liberation, and his muscular body becomes even more muscular. He prepares to attack with a powerful blow, but Su Ling attacks him with her dagger. The blade gets stuck in his chest, as his muscles were so strong that no one could harm him. He uses his power. With a shove, he defeats Su Ling. Golden Lion King approaches him and tells him that he had a lot of confidence in his muscles, but had forgotten to exercise his brain. And with a single finger, Golden Lion King defeats Wu Gan. May Fox is disappointed with his companion, but she was different from them. She was a little girl who had lost her home and wandered the streets, and pulls a magic powder out of his mouth. However, gradually, she rose to the position of CEO and secretary of the group. Thanks to her brilliant mind, she takes off her cloak and reveals her seductive attire. She activates her ability and starts to seduce Golden Lion King. Her ability is effective with men and beasts. It affects all males when under her control, and little by little, men become obedient slaves. Golden Lion King is confused by her gestures. Her ability doesn't seem to work on him, so she decides to use her ability to spy on him and find out what Golden Lion King is hiding. Golden Lion King hadn't lost his yang essence. His body was pure yang, which is why the enchantments didn't affect him. May Fox uses all her strength and employs her ultimate charm. The girl's spirit begins to come to life. Trying to seduce him, the king loses consciousness and starts releasing his power. Su Ling, upon seeing that Golden Lion King was losing control, tries to help him. However, Golden Lion King quickly pushes her aside with a furious look and starts advancing towards May Fox. Golden Lion King's lust was the purest. She couldn't control him. The night falls. She attempts to regain her composure, but the level of power overwhelms her. Her end was near the Lion King's lust is being consumed by May Fox's lust. All things have a fire in their hearts, and the fire in the heart is composed of lust and karma. These two types of heart fires are extremely dangerous, so it's necessary to suppress and reconcile. The practitioner's innate aura. May Fox disturbed Golden Lion King's mental peace, and Golden Lion King goes to the Cave of the Runes, awakening his lust. Now, Golden Lion King is acting solely on instinct. If they don't do something, his lust will consume him until death. Golden Lion King is about to kill May Fox. Xiao is the result of the Lion King's absorption of demonic energy. He has a body of pure yang energy. His primal yang energy has not been released, and no one can withstand his lust. One of the soldiers decided to shoot the girl, where the girl begins to cry. Xiao is the incarnation of the divine flame, capable of merging with the ghostly fire, the fire of the 6 guardian gods, the fire of triple immersion, and the fire of true contemplation. Any flame in this world can be compatible with Xiao. She approaches Golden Lion King and uses her ability, called Return of the Fire Sect. She begins to absorb Golden Lion King's lust, and after a while, she absorbs all of his lust. Because she had lost her body, May Fox is surprised she survived, and believes Golden Lion King was too dangerous. As she barely escaped being burnt, Su Ling takes out her dagger, and ensures that May Fox won't escape. Golden Lion King wakes up exhausted and weak, having gained a lot of stat points. By expanding his elemental fire, he gains a new ability, the Golden Fire Heart Technique. Xiao's color has changed. Golden Lion King Asura's hair, due to devouring Golden Lion King's lust. He approaches May Fox and asks her about the use of the 3 lives. Soul Coffin. A fox responds that the coffin contains ancient secrets. When one lies in it, they can receive an inheritance in an illusory world and obtain reincarnation. However, if the user gets lost in the illusion realm, their soul will disappear, and tells her that she only had to be reincarnated, and their body will turn to dust. Golden Lion King wonders if it could help him obtain a young body, but the coffin carries great risks. Su Ling leaves May Fox's body and tells Golden Lion King that she wants to try. Golden Lion King refuses, deeming it too dangerous, but suddenly receives a message, saying that the success probability for the soul coffin trial is, when suddenly he gets a warning from the system, 30%. Su Ling insists, because her original life was Golden Lion King. Upon seeing her determination, Golden Lion King decides to let her use the coffin. He uses his ability, Sacred Fire, Heart Flame, and starts manifesting his soul's fire. However, he wants to pull her back. When his inner fire begins to show signs of disappearance, Su Ling lies down in the coffin, telling him that he had picked up a ghost and is teleported back to her village before the soldiers arrived. Her parents are alive and call her to come and eat. She can't help but shed tears at seeing her parents alive again, but she knows she can't be deceived. It's just an illusion. She goes inside with her parents to take a look and starts eating with them. Happy once more for the moment, Su Ling's vital fire is stable and had to link it as soon as possible, but she must overcome the obstacle inside the coffin. Several years have passed, and it's the day of Su Ling's wedding. The sun is about to rise, and if Su Ling doesn't awaken her spirit, it will be lost forever. Su Ling is struggling, even though the fire of life continues to burn. Resisting against the sarcophagus is too difficult. Golden Lion King decides to bring Su Ling back, as there is very little time left before the sunrise. This was the first time he had. Su Ling starts to see the figure of Golden Lion King, and begins to awake as she was getting up. The sun was rising in the end. She manages to get out before the sun fully rises. Golden Lion King welcomes her and Su Ling with tears. Thanks him, he has completed the connection mission, and become a loyal companion of the lion, improving his awakening ability. He has obtained the illusion of the 3 lives, and the inheritance of the reunion spell. Received a warning from the system. Golden Lion King didn't expect to receive such rewards. May Fox is moved to see them reunited, and decides to leave first, since she has nothing else to do. C0K. Zero grabs her by the ear, and asks Golden Lion King about his plans for her. She had provoked his lust, allowing him to acquire the Sacred Fire Technique, and she could help him improve, telling him something so direct. His skills, he takes May Fox by the arm, and brings her along, until his Sacred Fire Technique is fully perfected. Everyone leaves the building, and Golden Lion King sets it on fire, as their target was the Lion Mountain. Suddenly, the system warns him that the second resurgence of spiritual energy is about to begin. On the Lion Mountain, some plants. The shot attracts a mutant boar beast. He had to plan carefully to complete his new mission, and animals start to receive the second resurgence of spiritual aura. Finally, the time has come, and the system assigned him the task to expand the territory. He must expand the size of the mountain to support the growing flow of spiritual energy. He is impressed, because the system cannot cheat intentionally, and there are no restrictions, when suddenly, a candle demon named Xiao comes out. Suddenly, the system warns him that, if he doesn't expand his territory within the established time frame, his body will collapse, due to the inability to withstand the excess spiritual energy resulting in his death. The Lion King had never confirmed the extent of the Lion mountain, so he decides to activate his spirit perception. She comforts the girl to confirm it. As this is the perfect moment to test his new abilities, he uses his ability called Spirit Perception, and is amazed to see that he can glimpse the flow of spiritual energy throughout the entire mountain. Thanks to reaching level 3 of Spirit Perception, he notices that his golden fruit tree has fallen, and he is confused, as the armadillo was supposed to guard it, and tells her that the king had no bad intentions. But upon searching further, he realizes that the armadillo is unconscious on the ground. Seeing this, he gets angry, because the culprit not only caused harm to his territory, but also dared to hurt his companions. The culprit left a trace of spiritual energy, and if he follows the trace, he can find them. Golden Lion King is angry. He was just a little insensitive to feelings, because the culprit had knocked down his golden fruit tree, which was the root of the Lion Mountain. The golden fruit tree blooms every 10 years, and by eating a golden fruit, one obtains 30 years of demonic power. Golden Lion King summons all his subordinates, including the chatty bird captain, the green snake Xia King, the white fox Xiu, and the giant bear Qingji. Golden Lion King had left his spiritual energy in her soul. When they reach the armadillo, they realize he is severely injured but still alive. Upon seeing Golden Lion King, the centipede starts to roar. Golden Lion King gets angry and prepares to use his lion's roar of Edom, but Xia King stops him and tells him that there's no need for him to get personally involved in such trivial matters. She attacks the centipede so that she could keep her soul, entwining it with her body. The armadillo apologizes to the king for not taking good care of the golden fruit tree. The centipede was originally a worm that burrowed beneath the golden fruit tree. However, this time, with the revitalization of the spiritual aura, it started to mutate suddenly. Still, its wisdom didn't awaken, turning it into a fierce and uncontrollable being. Thanks to the king's spiritual energy, Xia King bites down hard, splitting the centipede in half, but the centipede uses its ability, called Earth Dragon Division, and divides itself, continuing to attack Xia King. The more she hits it, the more centipedes appear. Seeing that Xia King is in trouble, her companions decide to help her. However, Xia King refuses their help, as she had been cultivating diligently. She had managed to transform into a demon, alongside Golden Lion King day and night. Today was the moment to test the result. Using her demonic energy, she transforms into a dragon. She breathes out dragon breath, delivering a powerful energy blast that manages to hit the centipede. Her companions are amazed at her power. They start discussing how she used to sleep in the Lion King's cave to take advantage of the demonic aura, to cultivate her power. While they argue, to become a demon, there were two conditions. The system levels up Golden Lion King. Meanwhile, the wounded centipede starts to retreat from the battle. Fleeing underground, Xia King begins to pursue it. The flow of energy from the mountain was below the ground. The source of Golden Lion King's power was connected to the Lion Mountain. If this flow was destroyed, the consequences would be devastating. The boar was furious because the shot had hit its tusk. The first was the special constitution. Golden Lion King orders all his subordinates to go underground to chase after the centipede. Xia King tells him that the centipede escaped because it was a creature that lived underground and could sense the direction through its skin, while our olfactory sensors were being interfered with by the spiritual energy. From the ground, Golden Lion King decides to use his demonic consciousness ability, and the second was the obsession of the heart. He could feel that this underground spiritual current was connected to his spine. He orders everyone to dig until they reach the bottom of the earth to find the centipede. After walking for a while, they reach an area where the sensation was similar to that in the lion's cave. As they progress further, they come across the body of the centipede, which had been killed, and behind the centipede's body, Xiokeo asks her, stands a woman holding a red umbrella. Her name is Cai Luo, and she was waiting for their arrival. All of Qingji's subordinates had been killed by Kai Luo. Kai Luo apologizes, saying she didn't want to waste food, but couldn't eat anymore. Qingji becomes angry upon hearing this, and activates his wild power, preparing to attack Kai Luo with 10,000 jin. Kai Luo stops his attack with her power, while the soldiers were chasing her before, telling him he was overestimating his strength. The clever fox, Xiu, and the chatty bird decide to help. Xing, the talkative bird, uses its ability the Great World, and shoots its energy-covered feathers, while Xiu uses his shadow-hidden ability, both attacking Kyle Lueo. However, she stops their attacks with her umbrella. Using the Mist Claw ability, she quickly attacks Xingji. She is Su Ling from Mang Village, thinking they were just a group of mindless beasts, but she underestimated Golden Lion King, mistaking him for a sick cat. Believing he was just a small and insignificant kitten, Golden Lion King uses his Roar of the Lion ability and attacks Kyle Leo, but she blocks the attack with her umbrella and the indestructible golden ability. However, Golden Lion King's roar was too powerful, and Kyleo's umbrella couldn't withstand its force. At the foot of Golden Lion King Mountain, her umbrella was destroyed, but her benevolent energy remained. Kyleo realizes that Golden Lion King is too powerful and cannot defeat him head-on, so she decides to attack his subordinates. She uses the Devouring Earth ability like a tiger, and her umbrella generates energy hurricanes, hitting Golden Lion King's subordinates. Slowly, she starts absorbing them, and when the umbrella is directed at Golden Lion King, and since the revival of spiritual energy, Xia King steps in front and takes the impact, seeing Xia King injured. Xingji tries to stop the umbrella with his 1000 Jin Fall ability. At this moment, Golden Lion King's past is shown. When he was just a cub, it was the first time they had managed to drive away the clan of hyenas. Xingji asks him why he always threw himself into every fight. The little Golden Lion King replies, the people of her village had been disappearing, that he was destined to protect his subordinates. Upon hearing this, Xingji only thought about advancing alongside him. Back in the present, Golden Lion King is furious because Kai Luo had taken away his family. He starts unleashing all his power, causing space to distort and immobilizing Kai Luo. Golden Lion King attacks the umbrella with a strong bite. The bones of the umbrella were made from an ancient, divine tree, and no one could destroy it, one after another, leaving only 20 people. Seeing that her umbrella is about to be destroyed, Kai Luo tells Golden Lion King that if he damages the umbrella, he will never see his companions again. Upon hearing this, he stops attacking. She could control all creatures of the heavens and earth with her Hongjin Kaien Kun umbrella. The furious Golden Lion King demands her to release his companion, and 2 days ago, she replies that if he wanted to see them again, he needed to lick her feet. Golden Lion King was strong in battle, but to survive in this environment, he had to be intelligent and master the skill of metamorphosis. As he couldn't transform into a human form now, it was impossible for him to open the umbrella. To release his friends, she moved her foot closer to him, so that he could lick it at that moment. The beast begins to charge towards them. A group of soldiers interrupted in their village. The king began to remember his friends. She advised him to hurry, because if he took too long, his friends would turn into blood. What she didn't know was that the king had an ace up his sleeve. Suddenly, Golden Lion King's clone appeared from behind and removed the umbrella at that moment. She realized she had fallen into his trap. Su Ling and Xiao Kao returned back with the clone, and they had captured Mei and ordered everyone to advance into the forest. Fox and the girl who had infiltrated the headquarters. The clone realized that by opening the red umbrella, he could free his subordinates. She tried to stop him. He opened the umbrella and she began to feel pain. It was difficult for the clone to open the umbrella because it was tightly closed, but he gradually succeeded in opening it. The more he opened the umbrella, the more pain Kai Luo felt. One of the villagers says he didn't want to go in. After exerting effort for a while, the clone finally managed to open the umbrella, and the king's trapped subordinates were released. Then, the system notified him that the time for using the young fragment had ended, and the clone disappeared. Zhao Keliu approached everyone to check if they were injured. She gave the good news to the king by confirming that they were only unconscious because his son had disappeared in that forest. Kai Luo didn't expect Golden Lion King to be so powerful. She had never encountered such a powerful demon beast before in the hundreds of years since she had become a demon beast. This was the first time someone had opened her umbrella so easily. She understood the gravity of the situation and quickly retreated. Since she couldn't currently confront the lion, she intended to return after devouring more demon beasts. But the soldier doesn't listen to him and hits him, and increasing her power. The king knew that if he let her escape, more problems would arise. He ordered Su Ling to accompany him, while Xiao Kao stayed to take care of his subordinates. Both of them went to pursue Kai Luo. After a few minutes, she reached the cave's exit and began to fly. The king activated his power and tried to fly after her. But at that moment, saying that if he didn't do it, he realized he couldn't fly and fell to the ground. Kai Luo started mocking him for being unable to fly. Enraged, the king used his ability called Golden Flame Bite and launched a powerful lion-shaped flame towards her. She narrowly dodged it at the last second and realized that Golden Lion King still had many tricks up his sleeve. Her best option now was to get away from him for a while quickly. He was going to kill him himself. She bid farewell to the king and left. She had a loose tongue because she could hide her malignant energy, and even with the king's ability to detect demon, he couldn't locate her. Su Ling couldn't do much either. This story begins on the Lion Mountain. Even after converting her body into Yang, if she had known this, she wouldn't have chosen her current Yang body, and she wouldn't have entered the stone sarcophagus. The old man, seeing that he had no choice, suddenly she began to hear a voice. A familiar voice. It was the same voice she had heard in the sarcophagus. She had obtained her young body after accepting the sarcophagus's inheritance. But at that time, she had heard many words and couldn't remember their order. After a while, those words came back to her. Those words were the living words technique. She had obtained her young body, decides to go a little further into the forest. Thanks to the formula of the living word inside the sarcophagus, the living words technique was not irreversible. So she used the technique again and transformed into a yin spirit. She told Golden Lion King that she had remembered the technique inside the sarcophagus and could now freely alternate between the young body and the yin spirit. The old man begins to disappear. She asked him to let her pursue Kai Luo. Golden Lion King told her that the sarcophagus's inheritance was not easy. It required constant stimulation and remembering the techniques to fully receive the inheritance. Seeing that she could use the living words technique, Golden Lion King gave her a drop of blood to protect herself from the red umbrella. Seeing that the king trusted her, one of the soldiers force all the villagers into the forest. She wanted to do everything in her power to meet his expectations. In the blink of an eye, she caught up to Kailuo and attacked her with the dagger that the king had given her. However, at that moment, Kailuo sensed her energy and blocked the attack, using her umbrella. Despite the umbrella being very resilient, Su Ling's dagger had managed to damage it. Each of them disappears after walking in the dark fog. It was a strange day for Kailuo. She had faced a golden lion with immense cultivation level, and now a simple devil had been able to damage the fabric of her umbrella. Su Ling clarified that the dagger in her hand had been made from the fang of Golden Lion King, so there was no possibility that a simple umbrella spirit could withstand it. Angry Kailuo used her ability, and finally, it was Su Ling's turn. Called the universe within the umbrella, and absorbed Su Ling. She crashed onto the ground in the infinite space, inside the umbrella of the ancient city. Looking around, she realized she had been sucked into a dimensional space, and inside the space, it was raining. The mist and rain had corrosive properties that were dissipating her spiritual energy. When she entered the fog, she quickly realized that it was not very convenient to stay in this dimensional space for long, so she tried to escape after moving a few meters. She came across the bodies of other spiritual beasts that were being dissipated by something strange. She had to leave that space immediately. After advancing for a few minutes, she returned to the same place where the beast was being dissipated. She began to move unconsciously in one direction. Her suspicions were correct. Escaping from that place was not going to be easy. The most dangerous places were often the safest. Seeing that advancing through the ancient city was getting her nowhere, she tried to escape through the sky. She quickly reached the sky, but as she approached it, she encountered the same wall of beasts, and then she fell to the ground. Then he saw his parents, but when she woke up again, now, gravity had changed, the sky had become the ground, and the ground had become the sky. She realized that everything was under Kailuo's control. Desperate, she tried to provoke Kailuo into coming out to fight her, but no matter how much she insisted, she didn't appear. And gradually, the rain was dissipating her energy. The Lion Mountain companions had been freed. When Golden Lion King opened the umbrella, her parents had disappeared. If no one came to rescue her, she had no way out of this dimensional space. Tears in her eyes, she took out the drop of blood that the king had given her, and apologized for letting him down. At that moment, both the dagger and the drop of blood began to rise into the sky, and merged into a new dagger. This dagger grew larger and transformed into a sword. She had always tried to help the king. She had fallen into a well, but in the end, it was always he who saved her. A moment ago, she had even considered giving up. Disappointed in herself, she attacked the wall using the power of the sword. Upon impact, the wall started to take damage. At that moment, she understood that the various manifestations of the previous umbrella were not its true form. The true form was the umbrella itself, this time, and a flower had guided her away from the soldiers. She was even willing to spend all her cultivation power. She quickly remembered the inheritance that could help them survive and escape this situation. She had a duty to completely eliminate those who threatened the Lion King using the assassination technique. She activated the state of bloody killing. Using the blood sword, she struck the wall once more with a powerful blow. Outside, Kailuo was already taking damage. She could not destroy the coffin. She was surprised because Su Ling was still fighting, despite the corrosive rain and mist. Inside the dimensional space, the mist and rain gradually began to disappear. She felt relief and used the icebreaker technique, and attacked again with several strikes. Due to the damage, Kailuo stopped fleeing. If she didn't get too far away, the lion could track her demonic energy again, so she used the blood. Seeing that the normal weapons did not do much damage, that the soldiers were looking for coagulation in the universe of the umbrella technique, and began to summon hidden soldiers made of yin blood. These were humans and demonic beasts she had devoured. Once beings were devoured within the umbrella, she could control them with this technique. The hidden soldiers began to advance towards Su Ling, and the battle began in the Lion Mountain. The system notified Golden Lion King that his bonded spirit had entered an overloaded state, using the demonic. So, she decided to eat the flower. Consciousness of universal communication. He tried to contact Su Ling. After trying several times, she still didn't respond. She had remembered a new inheritance, and this inheritance was deeply inscrutable. However, her current level of cultivation was very low, and if she couldn't control and guide herself properly, there could be a serious problem inside the umbrella. After eating the flower, her body became very light. Su Ling had dealt with all the hidden soldiers, made of yin blood despite killing many. She felt it wasn't enough. She still wanted to keep killing. Kailuo couldn't keep using the rest of her demonic energy, as it was slowly depleting, so her best option now was to give up on absorbing Su Ling with her remaining demonic power, and her eyes could see clearly at night. She began to dismantle the universe within the umbrella. Near the Lion Mountain, a group of awakened beings was heading toward the mountain. They had come to stop the Kai Yang Sheng group, which had made a corrupt alliance with officials and businessmen to take away their development project. The leader of the construction company's exploration team was a man named Bingpo, an awakened being of Class C. He knew that the second soldiers later found the coffin and removed it. Recovery of spiritual energy had begun, so they were planning to seize the opportunity to compete for resources. The government had already awarded the mountain project to the Kai Yangshan group, so if they were discovered, they would be in serious trouble. Since the recovery of spiritual Kai, demonic beasts had become prominent, using a helicopter one of the superiors, and there were many awakened beings. The government had long ceased to exist, so any development group could use its military power to dominate. As they approached the mountain, they saw Su Ling, who had escaped from Kai Luo's umbrella. Seeing her, Bingpo thought she was from the Kai Yangshan group, and ordered his group to deal with her. Seeing that the flower was not there, using the ice crystallization ability, he attacked Su Ling, but just before his strike landed, she cut his hand with her sword. Seeing this, the entire group advanced towards her for revenge, but in the blink of an eye, Su Ling had ended the lives of all of them, with her hands covered in blood. From killing all the awakened beings, she began to feel that the blood smelled very good, told the soldiers that he was not going to pay them. Golden Lion King arrived, and warned her that if she tasted human blood, there would be no turning back. But she didn't listen at all, and was willing to taste the blood. Just before she could try it, Golden Lion King used the roar of the lion to knock her out using his tail. He picked up her body. He didn't want her to face unnecessary dangers, until they found the flower. However, during the second recovery of spiritual energy, there would be changes, especially for his bonded spirit. To survive, she could only become stronger, to have means of self-protection. With more people coveting the Lion Mountain, this was the signal for Golden Lion King to start taking action. He picked up Su Ling's body, and headed towards the Lion Mountain. On the way, she woke up, and apologized for letting the umbrella spirit escape. Then, the group of soldiers began to chase her. The king comforted her by saying that the umbrella spirit issue had already been resolved. She was relieved to hear this, as she had been of use to the king. After all, having a system allowed Golden Lion King to do as he pleased. Although he had let the original spirit of the umbrella girl escape at the moment he was chasing the girl, pulls out a missile launcher and shoots at the beast. And that's how she arrived at Golden Lion King's mountain. The system warned him that it had detected a strange object between his teeth. When he removed this object from his teeth, he realized it was a piece of the red umbrella's fabric. He wondered if he could use this piece of fabric to track the spirit. The umbrella spirit was an expert at hiding her demonic energy in physical form, so she couldn't be detected with spiritual perception. Golden Lion King now understands why. Either at that moment, an idea occurred to the king. Using the sacred fire heart technique, called living fire of manifestation destruction, he destroyed the fabric, but to his surprise, the umbrella spirit could infinitely repair herself. The embroidered silk fragment from Kayan Kan had powerful vitality. Even if it was separated from the original form, it could still maintain a connection with her. She had a special constitution. Kai Luo didn't know that the king possessed the living fire ability. Now he had full control over her, so leaving her alive meant she could still be used for his other purposes. In Golden Lion King's cave, the king's subordinates were happy that the king had brought them women. As appetizers, both women were scared, and Shuang thought they would torture her. To extract information, Golden Lion King returned to the cave. She was seeking revenge, and told her that the exploration team from the Giant Construction Corporation had suffered total annihilation at the foot of the Lion Mountain, and the killer was the Umbrella Demon, currently in the ruins. Shuang couldn't believe it, and couldn't help but shed tears. The king told her that, when he arrived at the scene, everyone was already dead, and the Umbrella Demon had also escaped. The coffin and the flower were a rare treasure. Not everyone had been annihilated. There was still one survivor, and that survivor was Su Ling, using telepathy. She asked him when she had become her friend. The king explained that all the factions were focusing on the Lion Mountain, so he needed a pair of eyes in the human world. Now that she had regained her young body, there was no one more suitable for this task. She had to gather information about the ruins. After the first revival of spiritual energy, the genetic body and the giant construction group, if necessary, she could confront them at the right time. Shuang rushed to hug her. She remembered Su Ling as her friend. Due to the continuous hypnosis of the endless talking parrot, she was willing to fulfill her new mission, so she decided to descend from the mountain. Upon hearing this, May Fox was confused, because both of them could descend the mountain. Various forces became anxious and started to move. She was also confused about what to do. Golden Lion King ordered his subordinates to tie her up, because she was going to help him practice the sacred art of fire tonight. They were going to practice dual cultivation. She was like a portable charger for the king. Just before Su Ling and Shuang descended the mountain, the king stopped them, and told them they could share the golden fruits. The golden fruit tree had already fallen, and the second revival was going to happen, so it was a waste not to eat the golden fruits. Therefore, all the mountain's companions were entitled to a share. Not only the golden fruits, but also all the spiritual flowers and herbs grown on the Lion Mountain were going to be distributed. He ordered everyone to maximize their cultivation during the second reactivation of the spiritual aura, and expand the territory of the Lion Mountain, sooner or later, as the system had asked him to link her. A few days later, under the leadership of Liu Fan, the entire Lion Mountain mobilized and carried out a powerful and energetic campaign to expand their territories. The Lion Legion was invincible in battle, and quickly wiped out numerous beasts and monster tribes in the surrounding area. Not only did the territory grow larger, but the number of subordinates who were subjugated also increased, doubling Liu Fan's power. He asked Su Ling if she wanted to become a Chang ghost. The Lion Mountain had expanded by about 47.5 kilometers, and the system rewarded the king with a bunch of points. It also granted him 2 new awakened abilities, the Broken Rock Palm and the Earthquake Shake. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before all his meridians were completely cleared. On the other hand, with Shuang's help, Su Ling had infiltrated the Kai Yang Shang group under the identity of a spy from the Zhang, but the beast manages to dodge it at the last second. Under his command, Su Ling accepts, and as a reward, Gong Corporation to the south of the Lion Mountain, 60 kilometers across the river, lay the White Tiger Mountain. The turtle told its king that to the south, the Lion Mountain had been very restless lately, constantly expanding its territory and gradually encroaching on the borders of the White Tiger Mountain. The crane offered to strike and devour them instantly, if given the order. The system gives him a fragment of Zhang body. Everyone wanted to take advantage of the second reactivation of the spiritual aura. The White Tiger told them that receiving gifts, without giving anything in return, was a lack of courtesy, so now it was their turn to give them a little gift. The system rewarded the king with 2 body fragments, and raised the level of the accumulation, strengthening skill, the energy manipulation skill, and the earthquake shock skill by 1 level each. That could be exchanged for a young body. If he could level up further, he might be able to fully unlock all the energy, accumulation and endurance skills of the mountain, as well as obtain more body fragments. Suddenly, the system alerted him that the Bayou territory had been lost. This was strange, because they had just expanded their territory, and now it was lost. The king quickly asked the bear if everything was all right. Seeing this, Golden Lion King was happy. The bear assured him that everything was under control, and there were no signs of enemies in the area. This was very strange, and he suspected that the system was malfunctioning and trying to deceive him. To clear his doubts, he went to check what was happening. Upon reaching Dongyu, he found all his subordinates there. The system warned him again that the zoo territory was being invaded by an enemy, because finally, the king quickly realized that the enemy was moving at great speed. Although he couldn't fly, he didn't think there was any demon beast in the Lion Mountain faster than him. The enemy was someone who was nearby, but hidden, and used a distraction to draw attention and attack another territory. However, it was very suspicious, because the king didn't feel any demonic presence. There was a chance that he could regain his human body. He realized that if the enemy wasn't in the sky or on the ground, they could only be underground. Using his power, he scanned the area and sensed a lot of rats. With a powerful strike, he broke the earth into pieces, and once that happened, causing the rats to emerge from the ground. These rats were the culprits behind everything. The Lion Mountain soil was teeming with rats, which was very unusual because originally, there weren't so many rats in the Lion Mountain. Since he was reborn as the Golden Lion, the rats became furious and started to attack. The bear and the chatty parrot eliminated a few, and the snake devoured hundreds of them. But no matter how many rats she devoured, it seemed they had no end. Realizing that they stood no chance alone, suddenly, all the rats started to gather together, forming a giant rat. The rat began to damage the forest and the trees. Seeing this, the bear got angry and tried to attack. The system had only made him stronger, but the power difference was too great, and the giant rat sent him flying with a single blow. Furious, the king used his breath and fired a powerful burst. This blast easily pierced through the giant rat's body. In the distance, the White Tiger had already realized that the king possessed immense destructive power due to the blast. The giant rat's body began to disintegrate, no matter what he did, and all the rats that formed its body started burrowing underground. Although these rats have little demonic strength, individually, their numbers were vast. If these rats touched the spiritual currents of the mountain, the king would be in trouble. The rats were starting to spread throughout the underground of the mountain. The White Tiger had heard rumors that said, but since he became the demon king of Mount Lion, Golden Lion King was so powerful that he could even lift the entire Lion Mountain. The king used his power again and broke the earth once more. But his attacks were no longer effective, because the rats had already dug deep. The king's subordinates, along with Zio King, formed a team to go after the rats. The king tried to warn Zio King that it was futile, due to the sheer number of rats. Seeing this, the soldier prepares for another attack. This kind of thing never happened to him. Pursuing them now was like searching for a needle in a haystack. She didn't listen, and ventured in without a second thought, because her family of green snakes had special knowledge about mountain mice. Despite the fact that mice were social animals, they didn't consciously unite to achieve a goal. When they were hunted, they simply fled by nature, only being individuals obsessed with reproduction. This was the first time the system had sent him. The only way these rats could work together in such a coordinated manner was if this colony was led by the Rat King. The bear was confused, since the Rat King had been eliminated by the lion. A while ago, she clarified that he wasn't the king, but merely had an ability that allowed them to merge their bodies. They needed to eliminate the Rat King to stop the onslaught among all the rats, a task with a reward. There was one with enormous size, and upon seeing its size, she thought he was the king. Using her venomous ability, she bit the rat, and after a while, the venom took effect and the rat died. They realized he wasn't the Rat King. The Rat King was very cunning, and was hiding his presence to control the onslaught. After a few minutes, some rats had reached the spiritual roots of the mountain, a mysterious opportunity with a mysterious reward, and began feeding on them. Gradually, they started absorbing spiritual power and mutating. The system alerted the king that his roots were being damaged, and his power was decreasing. He quickly ordered the bear to bring May Fox. The bear took her out of the cave, and she was annoyed, because despite bothering her every night, if Yang's fragment could return his body, she now had to endure them during the day as well. The bear told her that the lion mountain had been invaded by the mice, and Golden Lion King wanted her to find the Rat King. Using her powers, she refused as it was impossible. Upon hearing this, the king asked her to help him awaken his powers again, assuring her that this time, it wouldn't be life-threatening, as he was now in his beast form. It was an opportunity he could not miss. With no other option, she agreed, and using her powers, she posed sensually, and the king began to awaken his power, gradually gaining control over it. After awakening his power, his body connected to the Lion Mountain, and the spiritual roots became like his veins. Using the ability of the sacred fire heart, he transferred his energy to the spiritual veins, causing all the rats near the veins to ignite. He asked Su Ling. The white tiger felt the veins, and knew that the rats were being damaged, but he had other plans in mind. The true fears of the mountain rats were just beginning. Despite taking damage, the rats still followed their king, and started doing the reproduction act, and started biting the roots again, thanks to the king's power. They began reproducing at a rapid pace. If she was seeking revenge against those people, the king tried to communicate with his subordinates, but they were underground, making it impossible for his communication power to reach. So far, they needed to eliminate all the rats. If even one rat remained alive, it could reproduce infinitely. His only option to win now was to unlock his special technique, therefore using his skill points. She did not want to cause trouble for the king. He unlocked the ability called Demon's Power. This ability allowed him to attack enemies within a 1-kilometer radius, regardless of the environment. He quickly used this ability, which caused all living beings within a 1-kilometer radius to lose consciousness. It not only affected the rats, but also his own allies. Zhao Wang emerged from the ground. All her relatives were dead, since she used to sleep near the king. Some days, Golden Lion King emitted the same power, so now she was immune to it. She prepared to go in search of the Rat King again, but just before that, the lion stopped her. Despite having an ability that allowed him to perceive demonic power, he was unable to distinguish her power. The mice had already invaded the entire mountain, and his power, when suddenly, and she does not want their corpses exposed, only allowed him to temporarily incapacitate them. So, combining his two special abilities and his human brain, he realized that the root of this problem was in the White Tiger Mountain. Both of them headed towards the White Tiger to declare war as they got closer. The White Tiger sensed their power and alerted all his subordinates to prepare for battle. After walking for a few kilometers, Golden Lion King finally encountered the White Tiger. The king thinks she was a child, just by looking at the king. The White Tiger realized that he was an extraordinarily strong rival. Seeing the tiger with his subordinate, the lion realized that he had already prepared for this battle. Both of them released their auras, colliding and creating a massive explosion. This aura was so powerful that it wiped out several of their subordinates, leaving only the tiger, the tortoise, and the crane. But she had quite a heavy mind. The battle between the two sides began. The tiger leaped and attempted to attack the lion. Just before his strike landed, the lion counterattacked, sending him flying several meters backward. The tiger was surprised to see a lion capable of such a move initially. Lions were submissive beings who were easily defeated. What he didn't know was that Golden Lion King was so powerful. With his breath, he creates a clone to protect her, thanks to his system, and that he had been a human in the past. The tiger re-engaged in combat and delivered a powerful blow. The tiger possessed the same strength as Golden Lion King. After receiving this attack, the lion struck back with incredible speed, and a fierce battle began. This was the first time the king faced such a formidable opponent, since he could not leave the Lion Mountain. Each time the tiger struck the lion, it felt like hitting steel. While both fought, Zhao Wang could only watch from a distance, since this was a battle she couldn't interfere in, but she gathered her courage and wanted to help the king. Using her power, she transformed into the ice dragon and fired a powerful blast toward the tiger. To her surprise, and with her breath, he creates a dagger with his spirit. Just before the blast could hit the tiger, the green turtle appeared and stopped the attack. Then the crane appeared flying and attacked her with a strong ability called the Red Storm, causing her considerable damage. The king realized that she was in danger. While he was distracted, the white tiger appeared from behind and delivered a powerful blow at the beginning of this battle and gives it to Su Ling. The king was only using 50% of his power, yet the tiger was able to match his strength. He opened the system window and realized that his power was sealed. The tiger asked him if he had been afraid earlier, as opponents who started to fear him were never able to defeat him. This was thanks to his special ability. This was the ability he had awakened after many years. If at any point his opponents began to feel fear, she doesn't know how to thank him. They were never able to defeat him. All of the lion's attributes were blocked due to the tiger's debuff. Seeing this, the lion tried to keep his distance to recover his power, but what he didn't know was that the white tiger could fly, thanks to his ability to generate wings, and in the blink of an eye, He reached the lion and began to strike him fiercely, despite his attributes being blocked. For all that the king has done for her, the system was constantly granting him points for blocking the white tiger's attacks. Xiao Wang, seeing the king in danger, tried to help him, but the turtle expelled some kind of slime that spread across the ground and slowly began to trap her. Seeing her body being ensnared, she started to fly and managed to escape from his ability, and she decides to leave. Her demonic ability was far superior to that of the turtle. Quickly the crane appeared again and used an energy cannon to pierce Xiao Wang's tail. This blow was so powerful that it could penetrate diamonds. Currently, he was the second strongest on the Tiger Mountain. On the other hand, the turtle was the strongest shield. Its shell could block any attack. A roar is heard from the top of the mountain, and Xiaoqiu decides to accompany her to light the way. Faced with these two, she had no chance of winning. Seeing the situation, she used her best move. Using her breath, she created a hallucinogenic cloud against the crane. While the turtle was distracted by the cloud, she appeared and wrapped herself around the turtle's body and began to bite its shell. The turtle laughed at her and said that its shell was indestructible. As they make their way to where the fog was, in the blink of an eye, she flipped the turtle's body over and tied it up with her own snake tail. Then she released more hallucinogenic clouds. While flying in the sky, the crane realized that the turtle was in danger. As the snake had wrapped its body, it quickly descended to help. What the crane didn't see was that the one bound was its own partner. Golden Lion King clone begins to feel very strong with its own tail. Using its sharp beak and the speed of descent, it pierced the turtle's throat and ended its life. The illusion's effect ended, and the crane realized that it had ended the life of one of its allies. Taking advantage of the situation, Xiao Wang used the energy blast and ended the life of the crane, which was trapped in the turtle's slime. Ghostly aura. As they walk a little further, after finishing both of them off, she tried to help the king. Just before she could act, she collapsed due to exhaustion from the transformation. The lion was enveloped in an energy dome, while the tiger tried to break it. Despite having his attributes blocked, he was able to use all his abilities. The white tiger was furious, because the lion was very special. They come across many corpses. All the other creatures they had encountered, who had felt fear, were completely subjected to his control. He was different from the rest. Even though his power had decreased, he showed no fear whatsoever. The lion asked if he also possessed the system, and the tiger didn't know what he was talking about. Furious, he used his best technique, and thunder clouds filled the sky. And among the corpses was the corpse of Grandfather Lai. No one had ever been able to dodge or withstand this technique. He activated the technique, and a powerful lightning bolt struck Golden Lion King. This lightning was so strong that it created a crater in the ground. To his surprise, the king's body was enveloped in a sphere of spiritual energy. The white tiger thought that the king had fused into this sphere. All of them were killed by the fog. This sphere of power rose, and the king emerged from the sphere with a new form. That sphere of power was the demon's pearl. By obtaining the pearl, the system unlocked the demon elixir for him. Just before the white tiger's celestial lightning struck the lion, he tried to use a mountain transmitter to create a barrier and channel the electrical current into the earth. At that moment, the system asked, the king's clone uses his power. If he wanted to use this electrical energy to fill the demon elixir, he quickly realized that his blocked attributes had been stored to cultivate the demon elixir. This was the perfect moment to fill the demon elixir. He didn't expect that his celestial attack would completely fill the energy of his elixir, allowing him to manifest it directly. The white tiger was angry and intended to exact his revenge and tell Su Ling by taking the lion's life. While the lion spoke, the tiger delivered a powerful blow that sent him crashing to the ground. After a few seconds, the lion got up. But even though he had obtained the demon elixir, his attributes remained blocked. This was because he had felt fear for a moment. So, the power of the tiger had already taken effect, and now he was an obedient slave, that he had purified the villager's soul. The tiger used his lightning attack against him again, but this time, the lion blocked the attack using the pearl, and the lightning no longer affected him. Using the pearl, he created spiritual roots that trapped the tiger, and then he used the fire ability to finish him off. The tiger was on the verge of losing this battle between the two kings, but just then in the distance, he saw the Rat King upon waking up. The one who had roared was the Golden Lion King, and allowed them to re-enter reincarnation. The Rat King ordered the rats to destroy the spiritual roots of the lion's mountain. Due to the loss of energy, the lion began to weaken. The white tiger understood that the mountain and he were connected, so if the mountain suffered damage, he was also harmed. The lion approached the rat and asked if he was truly the Rat King. A long time ago, one day, but the bodies of Su Ling's parents were still missing. Xiao Wang was chasing a mouse through the mountain. This mouse, fleeing for its life, reached the lion's cave and, taking advantage of the fact that the king was sleeping, hid in his bed due to the commotion. He woke up and asked Xiao Wang what was going on. She told him that a mouse had hidden in his bed. After searching for a while, he finally found the mouse that had hidden in his mane, so they decided to keep searching. Seeing that he had caught the rat, she told him that he now had the right to devour his prey. Upon knowing that his death was near, the mouse began to beg for his life. Seeing that the mouse could speak, Golden Lion King immediately set him free and realized that his intelligence had been awakened. Thanks to the spiritual energy, Zhao can ask the king, but the king's clone stops them. If the spiritual intelligence affected the taste, and Golden Lion King replied that creatures, mutated under the influence of spiritual energy, became like them and should not be fed upon. Grateful for being saved, the mouse began to thank the king, and expressed a willingness to do anything. As gratitude back in the present, the mouse apologized to Golden Lion King, as he had smelled the odor of the gunpowder, who soon realized he was under the oppressive power of the white tiger. Eager to repay the favor, the mouse used his powers to call upon other mice. To stop the attack, she couldn't fly,